All right. Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here. Today, I will be talking about Audible, which is a streaming service for books, and it's very different from other streaming book services and audiobooks out there. Audible is a part of the Amazon family, and it is one of those services where it's very simple to use, and you keep your books no matter what. So one of the best reasons to use Audible is the fact that it does have one of the largest audio libraries out there. So there are hundreds of thousands of titles out there. And what is very unique about Audible is not only are there hundreds and thousands of titles, but also with these titles comes different narrations. So with Audible, if you don't like a narrator, you can switch to another one if that book allows it. And that is something very unique. On top of that, Audible has a feature where it saves your place inside of the audiobook. And if you want to read the book on, let's say, a Kindle or something like that, it'll save your place in that exact spot. So you can flip back and forth between listening and actually reading the book. Audible is also fairly cheap. It is one of those companies and one of those resources that is very easy to use. And when you first sign up with Audible, you do get 2 free books, which is great for most people. And when signing up for Audible, you do get to choose a plan. It ranges from various plans costing various different amounts of money. But with Audible, if you sign up for their standard plan, you get one book credit. And with this book credit, you can redeem any book you want. So that brings down the price of books drastically. Now with Audible, there is another feature. Say you want to read a $5 book on Audible and you don't want to use your book credit on it. Well, Audible will allow you to still buy that book, and you can save that book credit for another book that may cost more, which is something that, is great for a lot of people because they don't want to be wasting that book credit. Another thing with joining Audible is that you get to sometimes keep these book credits. They do roll over into the next month, and you do get to keep these book credits to use on later books if you do intend so. Some of the best-selling authors on Audible are out there, such as Harry Potter, Stephen King books, and many, many more. And it is all the genres that you may be interested in. These audiobooks are often sometimes also narrated by famous actors and actresses. So you may get to hear from one of them about a book that you are currently interested in. Now, let's take a look at how much Audible actually costs. So Audible is not free, but it is a part of the Amazon family, meaning that you can link your Amazon account to Audible, which is fairly useful when first signing up. Some of the prices, the Audible costs of around $15 a month with a 30-day free trial if you don't like it. And of course, as I mentioned before, if you do cancel your membership, you do still keep your books 100% of the time. With most subscription services, once you cancel, that's the end of it. Everything that you've downloaded and saved is now gone. But with Audible, you get to keep it, and it will keep your spot in that exact same position that you left it. On top of that, you can actually buy more credits. Say you want to get more credits to redeem on more books, you can actually pay upfront that amount of money that you want for that book credit. So for around $230, you can get around 12 book credits, which means that that book comes in around under a little bit of $10 per book, which is a fairly reasonable price when you really think about it and when you really think about the cost of audiobooks. Another thing is that you can range in prices of how many credits you actually want. As you can hear listed in front of me, it says you can buy 3 credits, and you can buy them for the price of $35.88, which is about $11 per book. That is an incredible price. And as I mentioned before, there are different memberships. There's Gold Monthly, Gold Annually, and Platinum Monthly, Platinum Annually, and that's about it. And these do range in prices. As I mentioned before, with the standard plan, which is gold monthly, you do get 1 book credit per month. And that book credit can be redeemed on 1 book. With the gold annually, you get 12 book credits per year, which do roll out month to month, and you can choose from a wide selection of books that you are looking for. With platinum monthly, you get 2 books per month, and with platinum annually, you get 24 books credits per month. That is pretty reasonable for all the reading that somebody may do. And with Audible, it makes it really easy. Also with Audible, they will recommend books out to you. So you can find a new book and find a new enjoyable thing to read and to listen to at the exact same time. Audible makes it extremely easy to actually combine the reading aspect and the listening aspect of owning a book. Say you're late on your book club and you want to read that chapter really fast before you have to get to that meeting. Well, of course, you might not sit down and read that chapter extremely fast in the time that you have, but with Audible, you can listen on the go. And speaking of listening to Audible on the go, you don't necessarily have to have Wi-Fi to listen to your book. You can download the book and listen to it wherever you go. So say you're traveling to another country, you can throw your phone in airplane mode and listen to your book on the plane if you have it downloaded. That is something that is extremely nice with Audible. Another thing with Audible is it's not just books. It is also podcasts and other forms of listening. You can listen to these podcasts, these books, and anything you like through the Amazon partnership. That is what makes Audible a really useful resource when doing other things. You see, the pros of signing up with Audible is signing up costs you barely anything. And it has a large library of audiobooks as well as podcasts, and you can listen to them where you want and when you want, and you can get even more out of your membership. Of course, everything does have a price, and it's not entirely free listening because you do still have to download and buy the book, but it is better than things such as iTunes and other things that may be out there that you may be listening to audiobooks on. And of course, Audible is one of those things where listening may take up a lot of your time, but also reading and listening to a new book is always great to hear. You see, with Audible, it's about listening and not necessarily about, it's about being in that moment of that book. Because with Audible, it does save your place wherever you are, as I mentioned before. Also with Audible, if you do want to listen to it on a road trip, Audible does have a feature where it can switch into car player mode, which makes it super easy. And say you didn't hear a part in the book right, you can always go back and listen to it with the playback setting, which most playback settings restart the chapter. But with Audible, the playback setting goes 30 seconds back into that book, which is very useful when trying to find where you left off and to rehear that line again over and over and over again in case you missed it. On top of that, Audible also has a variety of different books, as I mentioned before, ranging in various different languages as well. Audible is one of those services where you can get a book that's read to you in Spanish, read to you in English, or read to you in other languages, and it's very easy to use. Audible, on top of that, has a combined feature with their partnership Kindle, where you can listen and read the book at the same time, as I mentioned before. Another thing that I did mention before, but I want to reiterate, is that once you cancel, you don't lose anything. You can cancel your membership as many times as you like and come back to that exact same book. It'll never disappear on you. It'll stay in your library as long as you want it. Of course, you can get rid of books to add new books, and you can go switch back and forth. Each month, Amazon will throw out a new book at you and say, hey, do you want to purchase this? Oftentimes, some of these books may be free and you can download them and listen to them. Most of the time, you will need to use a book credit or pay for the book if you are willing to. But with the book credits, it makes it extremely easy, just the one tap of a button and you have that book. And as I mentioned before, say an audiobook is $30. You can use a book credit on that, and there you go. You have that book. And say you find a book that's $5 and you don't want to waste that credit on it, then there you go. You have that book with you as well. Amazon and Audible are extremely useful resources when it comes to listening and finding out about new books. Now, let's take a look about how to actually use Audible and how to create an Audible account. So first, you do want to head over to audible.com. Next, you'll see a button that says sign in, and you fill out the appropriate boxes containing your email address, and if your account is linked to Amazon, you put all your Amazon information in. Next, you go over to the few boxes where you begin to create your account, adding your name, email address, and your phone number in order to make sure that it is you on your account. Audible does have a variety of different ways of actually letting you listen to your book. As you can see here are some of the books that you can listen to with Audible. Audible has a ton of different ways to listen, and they have a lot of books. And as you can see here, it's pretty streamless. Here we can see that the regular price of this book is $24.50. But with the membership price of Audible, you can get it for $17.15 or use your credit on it, which will allow you to essentially not pay for it, but you pay for it using your credit. We can also see here a description of the book. So whenever you want to find out what the book is about, it'll tell you a quick description, it'll tell you ratings, and it'll tell you reviews that other listeners have given that book. It is very useful if you want to read up about how good the book was or how terrible the book was, and you can judge for yourself if you want to actually purchase this. It'll also tell you the author's name, and it'll also tell you who it is narrated by, meaning that you can figure out which narration you want to listen to it. So as you can see here, we have Aziz and Eric. So say you want to listen to Aziz, but you don't necessarily like Aziz's voice. Well, you can switch over to Eric and listen to Eric tell the story. As well as we can see the duration of the book and how long it'll take you to get through it. And here we can see it'll take 6 hours and 14 minutes to get through the book. Usually this does mean that, of course, you are going to have to listen to it through an extended period of time, but it gives you a bookmark about how much time you have in the book, and it shows you about how much is left and where you want to stop. It will save. And it's just one step. If you want to apply your credit to the book, there is an option just to hit the little button that says apply credit, and now you pay nothing for that book, and it is now yours forever to keep. So now once you hit complete purchase, it is now yours forever. And how to actually download your books is you go to the library and you hit My Books. And once you reach that library, you'll be able to see the actual book, and you can see the download options for you. And you can download it in many different formats and audio qualities. The better the quality, the better the listening. But of course, if you do want to switch it up just to save a little bit of data and a little bit of space, you can switch it up by changing its different formatting in that option below where it says audio quality, and it says format for here. You can also listen on a variety of different platforms. You can listen on your smartphone, Kindle, tablet, MP3 player, or computer. And it is very simple and easy to use. Once again, just going to that Audible website and signing into your account and accessing your books there. Of course, you will need to download the Audible player and the manager in order to listen to these books, but it's fairly straightforward by just setting it up and letting it run in the background. Now, of course, to listen to audiobooks, you go to your library and you hit My Books, and then a window will pop up with a play button where you'll begin to play your book. And like I mentioned before, once you stop your book, it'll save in that exact spot that you just left it at, meaning that you won't have to go back and try to find where you just left off, like a typical standard book that you may hold in your hands, where you're always trying to find where that exact line was where you once were. On top of that, you can change it in various different speeds of listening. Say you want to listen to the book in a standard speed. Well, you can. Or say you don't like listening to things in a standard speed because it seems a little bit too slow for you. Well, of course, Audible allows you to switch this up, and it allows you to speed your audio up or speed it down as much as you'd like. On top of that, there is a cool feature with Audible where, as I mentioned before, you can save your place in both the audio recording and on an actual Kindle book that you may have. This comes in handy when you may want to just simply read the book, just to have the experience as you reading the book, and then you can switch back and forth between actually reading the book and listening to the book. This comes in extremely handy for many different situations that you may have. And of course, Audible makes it super easy, and it is one of the Amazon affiliate partners. We've done previous events on Amazon, and there are more to come certainly on the many different things that Amazon offers to the general public. This is just one of the many different resources that Amazon does allow you to use with your membership of Prime, but you can also get many different things such as Prime Video and other forms of Prime that do make a better experience online for you. But Audible is one of the best ways to listen and download books as you so do please, in order to experience the book as you like it. Now, I would like to leave this time up for some questioning. Are there any questions from the chat? All right. So, yes.
Okay, I have, well, first I want to thank you for this. I learned something new. I did not know you could select your narrator, and I've been using Audible for years, so that was cool. And
Yeah.
also, it was helpful learning that they have an annual membership. I've been overpaying, so that on me.
Yeah.
A couple of things I want to add is WhisperSync is available on a lot of books, but not all books. So WhisperSync is where it will keep your place on the ebook version in your Kindle and synchronize it with your Audible version if you buy both.
Okay.
So again, it's on a lot of them, but not all of them. And then the other thing, I don't know if you mentioned it, but there's a really cool feature where they now give you some free books, or you can get free books.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good, and they're really current titles, so that's enjoyable. So again, thank you for this presentation.
Yes.
And Brandon, I have a question. If there is one membership, can they log into multiple devices, or is it just
Yes.
one device?
You can log into multiple devices. It just has to be that exact account that you log into. So
okay.
it can switch back and forth between devices.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. And that is actually all I have on Audible. So it's a little bit early, but we'll end it here.